Jack Crook.
Cool. So what I want to go over today is the forensics challenge that I created. Actually, it was for ISSA back in the spring, and then there was only one participant in there, so I ran it again at GrrCON. What's that? So, yeah. So I am professionally, I'm an incident handler for one of the large organizations or companies around here, and also a maker of crappy slides. So, so this is a targeted attack. I want to go through and show that malware is not always just malware. There's people behind that malware that do some pretty crazy things, and you should know how to recognize it and respond to it, basically. So before we get started, I just wanted to go over some methods that you can use when you're tackling this type of incident. So one, collect all the data that you think you're going to want as soon as possible. A lot of this is volatile, very volatile, so file system is volatile, memory, network connections, all of that. You're much better off the quicker you grab it. Remember what I provided, so the timeline, the memory, and traffic capture. It's just a small portion of the things that you can analyze to determine what happened. Remember log files, registries, things along those lines. And above all, take good notes. So as you're going through this, you can be taking in a lot of data depending on how many machines you're looking at. And there's nothing worse than coming across something and knowing that you've seen it before, but not knowing where, and then have to backtrace to figure out where it was. So take good notes. So initially, when you sit down on a machine, I like to start with something that brought you to that machine, whether it's a virus hit, a network connection, a file name, a timestamp, something. Try to find that something within the data that you have, and then work from there, backwards and forwards. And the first thing you want to do, or the first thing that I try to do, is basically go back to when you can tell that the box is compromised, and then that can be your starting point for moving forward to determine what exactly happened. And then, yeah, try to determine initial compromise. So as you're moving through the data, just be aware of what you're looking at. Some stuff may be legitimate traffic, some stuff may not be legitimate but malicious, and try to be aware of those malicious signs. Also, when you're going through this, do your best to try to scope the incident. Is it one machine? Is it 50 machines? What are you looking at? So going through here, the questions that I asked during this challenge are probably questions that you want to answer during any incident, depending on policies and procedures. But that's a good starting point to answer the who, what, where, and when. And then as you're going through this, remember I said take good notes, because there's nothing worse than finding or seeing something and not knowing where you saw it. Take that list or those notes and start building indicators out of it. So file name or a timestamp or a username, whatever you have, you can build that back into your types of detection, whether it's host-based or network-based, and potentially find other signs of compromise that you wouldn't necessarily know that you have in your network. And again, the simplicity of the indicator does not equal for indicator. So, say I found foo in a file that shouldn't have been there. Foo could be a very, very valid indicator that I want to search for. So, and then continuously build that list. So don't just stop with the first few indicators that you find. Keep building that list and feed it back into your detection. So with that, you were going to drive? Sure. So I can't talk and type at the same time, so we're going to have someone else drive here. Where are you on? Oh, you're on. Okay. Cool. So what we have, we're going to start by running this command. So what we have for files is our optimize.timeline. This is the basically the MAC times of the file system. So all the metadata of the files that are on the file system. We have an image of the memory, and we have traffic capture. So initially what I like to do is prepare the data that I have so I can start looking at it. And one of the things that I like to do with the memory is just grab the strings out of it. So the ASCII characters I want to grab. And if I run this command, which is from TSK, it will not only give me the strings, but the byte offset where those strings reside in memory, which can be very helpful when you're going through looking for ASCII strings as well as the input strings. Try to tell what's around that location in memory. So if you want to go ahead and enter there. So everyone, if you want to follow along, it'll take a few minutes to run. So questions while we're going through this, go ahead and stop me, and I will answer them. So why would the offset important? The offset would be important, well, one reason, if I want to use volatility and I want to use the strings command to find a certain string within a process, I'm going to need that byte offset. Another reason is if I find something interesting, I will want to go to that location in memory, and I can use that byte offset to go directly to that point in memory and then look around. So hit the up arrow and then change it to srch underscore strings, space minus A, space minus T, space minus D, and then dash EL.
Can you repeat that again?
Just type dash EL.
Oh.
Hit the up arrow.
And you're running it twice, really, once to get the ASCII and once to get the Unicode stuff, right?
Right. Yeah, so it's going to append the Unicode strings to the bottom of that mem.string file. So that's no dash, it's EL. So one thing to be aware of, when you're doing this, your ASCII strings and your Unicode strings aren't going to line up anymore. So, okay, so if you just want to type more on that file, we'll see what we have just right off the bat. Oh, more space, mem.string. So we have our byte offset, and then we have our ASCII strings here. So go ahead and hit Q. Okay. And then one thing I didn't do was bring up the questions. So can you, I guess, open up this tab here?
This one?
Yep. And and type cat space Q and tab. Enter. Okay, so those are the questions we want to answer. We don't necessarily want to go through this question by question, one after the other. We're going to be able to answer a bunch of these questions just by looking at the data we have. So I guess where we want to start out is if I have an indication, a lot of times we're going to have it in network traffic. So I have the PCAP already loaded here if you guys want to go ahead and load the PCAP in Wireshark or TCP-dump or however you want to do it.
This is for CTF, and then the files were provided as part of the CTF. Is that where you're?
No,
This is real life.
So this no, all right. This is real life. So,
Yeah.
So this one, I mean, as part of the files that you started with, that you're running command against and whatnot. No, is that just the result, or you did some investigation as for the starting point? I'm just trying to figure out how we started, or where we started at, and how we got to here.
Okay, so we have an indication of an attack,
Okay.
right? We know that we need to investigate this machine because we think it's compromised and we don't know what it is because malware isn't always just malware.
Right.
So what we want to do, we want to go through and we want to grab that volatile data off of the machine so we can go ahead and look at it and look for those signs of compromise in there. So,
That makes sense.
yeah. This, by the way, is one that I did myself. So I followed what a targeted attack would look like, and this is what we're looking at here. So go ahead and look at that Wireshark there. And what do you notice right off that doesn't look right?
The get of the swing mechanics.doc.exe.
Right. So .exe, probably not something good. So remember that indicator list? That's our first, well, one of our first indicators, I can say. So we'll want to look and we'll want to see what that is, but we also want to look and see what that IP address is, because that's where he went out to grab it. Is it a legitimate site? Is it a known C2? What are we dealing with here? So if we go back to the, okay. So what we want to do now is we want to find that first piece of known information. Okay. So we can start with memory. We can start with the timeline. Whatever we want. So we'll go ahead and we'll start with the memory. I like to start with the memory only because if it's in there, I know that it ran. So if you go back to one of those other tabs, and just type grep or cat m.str and then pipe straight up and down.
Oh, yeah.
And grep -I for case insensitive, and then just do swing dash mechanics. It's dash, not dot.
Oh.
And then space and pipe. More. Yep. Okay. So all of these lines where the byte offset is where we have swing-mechanics.doc.exe. So we know that it ran in memory. And remember, when we're going through this data, look around and see the context of it, I guess. So looking at the first line, what does it look like?
Pull it down from an IP address. It's probably not.
Actually, hit Q. Okay. And then hit VI space mem.str. This is another good thing about having a string file, is I can go back and pull really easily and search. So hit / swing dash mechanics. Enter. Okay. So we know that user bng went out and grabbed that file. I have a visited tag on that. He went out there and grabbed it. Hit the letter N. Okay, right here. So if you read that, what does it look like?
The Yahoo Mail.
Yeah. It's
And then if you see the context of that mail,
The multi-parts. So it's probably got the that exe actually attached to it. So it was a mail attachment that came in.
and here's the, it was an embedded, it was a link with it.
Oh, there it is.
Oh,
Okay.
yeah.
But if you look at it, pretty targeted. Yeah, it's a pitch. The guy got pitched.
I also know that.
So if you're looking, if you remember, so this was back in the spring, Brandon Inge really didn't have good batting average. So they used that information because it was publicly available that he sucked at that time to say, okay, he probably wants to do better. He's a little desperate right now. I can go ahead and send him this piece of information, and I'm pretty sure that he will click on this link. So it worked. So he went out and he got popped. So hit colon.
Come on.
Hey. Colon.
FBI is not very.
No, it isn't. Yeah.
Okay.
The first answer was right there, right? I mean, it was.
Yeah. So go back to our question. See what we can answer.
Oh, you don't know. Wow.
So how was the attack delivered?
Phishing attack?
Yep. Got finished. Can we answer anything else?
The time? No.
How was it delivered?
We don't know the time yet.
What was the name of the file?
You look in the email. The email should have a timestamp on it.
Yeah.
All right. Well, I was going to say,
Yeah.
is there a timestamp
Yeah.
for Wireshark there?
Oh, yeah, there is. Actually, if you look at that, my ATP wasn't really synced. Two different times, one's a minute and a half off. But we can go with that. I don't necessarily like going with that one.
It's not exact, but it gives us.
So I like to go by the file system timeline.
Yeah.
So if you go back to the terminal window and just do cat tab pipe grep swing dash mechanics.
Oh.
So the file, the dropper file was actually a melt-away file. We got the prefetch stuff. So prefetch is always going to be an uppercase, so that's why we had to do the case first. And we know it's in there. So go ahead and VI space
Would you also think of it as this is the second time it's actually been downloaded?
Yep, I would. So, just looking at that, do you see anything else that looks odd?
Like you're immediately launching services DXE and a couple DLL.
So, is that file legitimate?
Why is there
Sorry?
If you launch your services code, you have a connection with the machine.
yeah.
Is that a legitimate file? Look at it closely. Windows System 32 SBC hosts.
No, it's SBC host.
So,
Drop that file.
a little odd.
That's a new file crate, right?
Yeah.
Modified one, yeah.
Yeah.
So we have modified born.
So that's dropped by EXE. Okay.
Yeah. So the swing-mechanics.exe was the dropper file for swing mechanics. I'll put away at the moment. So we have another piece of information, another indicator that we need to go ahead and feed back into our detection on this machine. So let's go back to the questions and see what we can answer. So what time was the attack delivered? Let's go back. 21:22, I think?
Yep.
21:9 on the 27th of April.
So then go back. So you want to write these down so we know which ones we covered. So number one, or does someone want to write them down? You're writing them down? Okay, cool. What was the name of the file, the dropper backdoor?
Yes.
Yep. Okay. Do we know the IP address of the C2 server? No, we don't, not yet. I don't think we really can answer anything else in here right now. So, let's learn about svchost.exe and see what that gives us. So go ahead and :Q exclamation. Actually, hit another tab over here. Find that one. Or okay, cool. So type ls. Enter. Okay. So how many people in here have used volatility before?
I just started doing it yesterday.
Okay, cool. So volatility is a very cool memory analysis program. It's freely available, and I highly recommend anyone doing this type of work to get very familiar with it. So what we're going to do is just type vol.py and hit enter. Vol.py space -h.
Oh, PYH?
py space -h.
Oh. Oh, yeah, because we haven't specified anything.
Okay. So these are the different modules that you can run within volatility. And what we want to do, we want to find out where SBC hosts is located in memory. So what we're going to do is we are going to locate it, find out which process it's running in. And then once we have a process, there's a lot of different things that we can do. It's a lot easier to analyze a process than a want to do is we want to create a strings file with just SVC hosts in it. So we can use that to find out which process it's in. So type cat space mem.str type grep svc hosts.exe.
SCV.
Oh, SVC.
Space greater than space call it indicator.txt. Enter. Now cat space indicator.txt. Indicator.
Oh.
Yeah.
Happy to be friends.
Yeah.
Yeah, that'd be lost.
It might take a little while.
Could be at work.
That's cool. Go ahead and run it. So what we want to do, we're going to use the strings module in there. So type ball.py and strings. And we need to feed her a strings file, so mine is S. And space indicator.txt. Then we need to tell it where to look. So it's space -F for file, and then memdump.img. And hit enter. So we're going to go ahead and we're going to let that run. We'll come back to it here in a few minutes. Go ahead and hit the next, where the questions are.
Well, that's a quick question.
Yeah.
When you're trying to determine scope, is it primarily the network traffic that you're looking for, or is that your
No.
system scale?
So a lot of it could be network traffic. A lot of it is host-based traffic. So say I have a Windows event log for a Type 3. That would be a successful network logon, so I map the share across the network.
Okay.
540 Type 10 would be I have like an RDP connection open to the box. Things like that, things that show this machine talk to another machine, which probably shouldn't have. I probably need to go look at that other machine.
Okay.
So things like that.
So it still starts at this machine, and then you see where.
Yeah, you need to start and really look at one, and then you can tell if you need to go anywhere and where you need to go. Hopefully. Go back to the middle tab so you can finish. Okay, so looking at this, the only valid processes we have are 1096. Everything else is
There's a 624.
that we want to look at. I'm sorry?
There's a 624 in the middle.
It was 1096, but
Yeah.
It's probably, maybe it's a child process.
624 is WinLog.
We have to look at it. But go ahead. We want to know what process ID 1096 is.
Okay.
So again, we're going to use volatility, but we're going to use the plist or PS list or module. So yep. And then PS list.
Oh yeah.
And then space finder out. memdump.img. And then space pipe grep 1096. Hit enter.
list or list?
Yes, list.
You've got
Oh, I got it. I got it plural. Yes, list. There we go.
Okay, so we have process 1096 is explore.exe. So we know that SVC host plural is running inside of explore.exe. So if we go back to our questions, here. Oh, what's the process name and process ID of the backdoor? Cool.
Florida.exe and 1096.
Right. So the next thing we can do is we are going to go back to the mem.string file.
Oh, this one.
No,
Oh,
next one.
okay.
So vi space mem.str. And search for svc hosts.exe. Stop right there. Okay. So a lot of this, I guess, is tribal knowledge. I've looked at a number of these, and I know what I'm looking at. But from here down to here, that's where the backdoor is in memory. So there's a bunch of different indicators in here. I have an IP address. I have some weird string. I have tigers. I have service hosts. Hit next again for the letter N. And again. And again. And again. Okay, this is actually a better one. I don't know why it showed up there twice in memory. But anyway, so we also have our explore.exe listed here. So we have more indicators to look for. We also have a registry entry that's going to make that persistent on reboot.
Show folder.
I'm sorry?
Oh, show folder registry modifier.
Yeah. So going through this, one of the things that I do, if I'm suspicious, I'll start looking for stuff fast. So a lot of times you're going to get lucky, and you're going to land right inside of that back door. This particular backdoor type. So go ahead and go to go to shell up at the top. Oh. And new tab. And TWD. Enter. Okay, CD space. Actually, it's fine right there. Back up. So type ball.py. So we have an IP address now. Actually, before you do that, go back to the traffic capture.
Oh, the watershed.
Yeah. And do we see the IP?
Yeah.
Yeah. Cool. So if you highlight on there and then go to Analyze, and then follow TCP stream. Do we know what that is?
Yep.
Based on?
I can't read it.
So if you go ahead and move that screen out of the way.
It's probably going to say 443. There it is.
But is that 443? We know it's 443 traffic, but is it that cell traffic?
You know what? Probably, if is that the full stream there? Cincinnati and read if you
So go to the top.
Pull that stream all the way out.
Oh.
At the top.
No, just move that. Yeah, move that out of the way.
So go all the way to the top there.
Yeah, there's no client handshake, so that's not really SSL traffic.
Right. So it's traffic, but it's not traffic we would expect to see. Cool. So knowing that we have outsourcing traffic, we see that we have that IP address listed in the location where we have our back door. Chances are pretty good that's our C2. So go ahead and go back to the terminal.
Question?
And then go to that, the next tab over. And then type, so we want to see if we have what type of network connection we have to there. So again, we're going to use volatility for that. So vol.py space connections. And mdump.img. Enter. So we confirmed that process where SVC host is located is talking to that IP address right there. So that is our C2. So we can go back to our questions now and see what we can answer. We still don't know what type of backdoor is installed. We don't know what the mutex is yet. What's the IP address of the C2? We have that. Okay, cool. So, mutex. So, is everyone familiar with what a mutex is? Anyone not? So, in a nutshell, a mutex is this little thing that resides in memory that says, okay, if you see me running and you try to run me again, don't, because I'm already running. So it's to stop multiple processes from running. So go back to the other, all the way over to the right. So we know we have a process ID, and we want to find out if there's any mutexes associated with that process ID, because again, searching a process is much easier than searching entire memory. Okay. So go ahead and type vol.py handles, handles, minus P, 1096, and space minus F, mdump.img, and space, type it to more. Pipe more.
Oh.
Actually, before you do that, pipe. Pipe. Rep. Minus I. It's mutant, M-U-T-A-N-T. And hit enter. Something look familiar in there?
Yep.
Yep.
So that Offhand, does anyone know what it is?
Yeah, but I cheated.
There is no cheating when you're looking at this.
It's poison ivy.
Okay, and how did you find it?
Because Redline told me so.
If you go to Google and you Google that, that's going to be the first hit also. Okay. The default mutex for poison ivy.
That's right below the dead space there.
I got it right there. So if you go back to our questions, so we know what the mutex is. Okay.
And we know the type of backdoor.
Yeah, we know the type of backdoor. So from here down, I think is what we need to answer now. So what additional tools do you believe were placed on the machine? So we're going to go back to our file system timeline. And can you drag that out and make it a little bigger, a little easier to read? So,
HP Gary.
So here's our starting point, right? And we know we need to move forward from our starting point, so we can just start narrowing down and look and see what doesn't really look right. So what can you tell about ipconfig and net.exe?
Well, they were launched.
And we know that by
Their prefetch file.
the creation of the prefetch file. So we know that was ran then. Probably, I don't know, I don't think Brandon Inge is a big sysadmin guy and probably wouldn't do ipconfig and net.exe that often.
Unless there's an intel.
But are those the valid systems?
Yeah, they are. They are. So again, we're going down and we're looking and we're scoping out what we have. We're seeing what looks odd.
So we got the
And just because we're looking for new files to create on the file system, we also want to observe what else looks weird.
Go to the last line.
Yeah.
Sorry?
Go to the last line. System/systems, and then G.exe.
Okay. So if we take that, let's step up a little bit. So we have ipconfig, we have net.exe, we have ping, then we have a directory that gets created. Windows System 32 systems. Is that a valid directory?
No.
Cool. So we have another indicator. If we keep going down a little more, inside the systems, which isn't a valid directory, we have additional files getting born, f.text, g.exe, p.exe. Keep going down a little bit.
Just search at bottom.
Just arrow down. Just keep going.
We're in the middle of the not the dim.
The arrow key.
Oh, there we go.
Yeah, we're at the bottom actually.
He starts running them.
Yeah, we're searching at bottom. Oh,
It's just on a
Okay, cool. So we have p.exe, we have r.exe, we have sysfon.exe, we have w.exe, and we have this guy got ran, w.exe, and g.exe got ran.
And the script kitty in it.
So, I guess the first thing I would want to know, since I know w.exe got ran, what is w.exe? I also know that if I'm typing ipconfig and I'm typing net.exe and I'm typing ping.exe, one after the other, I'm probably typing it as a command prompt. So what I would do is if you go back to the strings file, so is a remote administration tool. I can basically allows me, I guess, in all intents and purposes, the ability for me to sit in front of your computer. I can transfer files. I can open up a command prompt. There's basically nothing I can't do with the machine at that point. So I could be sitting at the command prompt back on our 221.whatever IP address, typing away on your computer. So knowing that I'm sitting at the command prompt, I will probably want to search for cmd.exe, which is the executable, or I could search for w.exe, which is the file that got ran, or g.exe. So your pick. Okay, so type actually :q bang. You could just enter. Okay, so type cat space m.str right there, and pipe rep cmd.exe, and then space, then pipe more. Okay, so probably
that's a lot of.
my guess would be strings out of different binaries. Not what we're looking for. Keep going. So you can hit, yeah. I tell you, forensics can be exciting at times. Okay, stop.
Let's look into it. The Adobe. Guess if you.
Where are we looking at?
Here, Adobe was running.
That's system variables.
So keep going down a little bit.
It has to be pretty close because Adobe here.
Command prompt.
So we know someone opened up a command prompt. Again, probably not attacker activity. If I'm creating a .lnk file, it means I'm clicking on a link or on an icon. So that's probably legitimate activity there. Keep going down.
cmd.exe up.
Sorry?
cmd.exe up.
Where?
That's very tough.
Oh, yeah, right there.
Bleed over in memory. It's,
Okay.
yeah. Stop.
What do you think is the reason why system root somewhere is not in caps? Some system root variables are in caps, some are not. By default, you know, of course, they're in caps. Why would that be?
Probably depends on the application, who wrote the application, what
Link.
yeah.
That's probably.
So keep going down. So stop. We have command prompt getting ran again. We have mdd.exe space -o memdum.ben. That's actually me taking the memory image. Remember our net commands? There's one of them, but DCO1/response, that is incident response activities, so we know that's good. We don't have to worry about that. Keep going down. Stop.
Whoa.
What does that look like?
There's a username and hash.
That's the hash.
Yep. Administrator.
Yeah.
Cool. So,
That is.
do we?
That's probably.
Okay. What's PS exec?
W.exe. That looks like PSX exec to me.
It's actually Windows Credentials Editor, WCE.
Okay.
So we ran cmd.exe, and we called wce.exe, and we gave it the username. Do we know what this is? That field right there?
Domain?
Uh-huh. We gave it the password hash, and then we said, okay, after you authenticate me as the domain administrator, I want you to run cmd.exe.
That's our privilege.
So now I have domain administrator level credentials at the command prompt, and there's not a whole lot I can't do at that point. So if you guys see that, that's bad.
Yeah. It's basically once the program is running, that's it.
So go back to the questions. What additional tools do you believe were installed? We answered that. Where were they placed? They're in the System 32 Systems directory. What level of privileges did or how did the attackers escalate privileges? At the hash with WCE. What level of privileges? Domain admin.
Does that imply that then that one of the other applications they get placed or something like the PW dump or something like that?
A lot of times, yeah. So with WCE, one of the things I can do with it is sniff hashes.
Okay.
I can crack those sniff hashes also, but I didn't do it that way. I authenticated with a hash. So yeah.
That would suggest to go around and perform this test on all the users of the domain administrator.
We would let the data decide where we need to go, basically. The last thing you want to do is start running around to every machine looking for stuff, because that can take years. Okay. So go back to our timeline. Okay. So how was lateral movement performed? Any idea? So if I jump on a box and I run ipconfig, I want to know what my IP address is. I want to know what network I'm on, right?
Mm-hmm.
If I start running net commands, say I run netview, what's that going to tell me?
Shortly attention.
What machines are around me?
Oh,
What host names are around me? So DCO1, that might be a good target I want to go after. Ping, can I talk to it? Yeah, cool. So if we go back to our memory, the memory strings. So remember one of those files, and I wish it showed up in here, but it didn't. Again, more tribal knowledge, I guess. You're going to need some way to execute commands on a remote machine. One of the great ways to do it is through psexec. So oftentimes I will just search for psexec to see if it's present on the machine. So if you search for psexec on here, so actually go to a different tab. And then type cat space mem.str, type grep -i psexec, enter. So yeah, we have psexec in memory. So psexec was ran. Cool. So that's how we perform lateral movement. We use net commands. We use OS tools. And then we use tools, well, with PSExec, get flagged by your AV. Sometimes it does, sometimes it doesn't.
Sometimes everybody.
Does your policy allow PSExec?
Sometimes people put exclusions in for it because it doesn't get flagged.
Yeah.
So, can we go back to questions?
Yeah.
How was lateral movement performed? Net commands, PSExec. What was the first sign of lateral movement? It was that ipconfig prefetch file getting created. So he got on the machine, he wanted to see where it was at with the intent of going other places. What documents were exfiltrated? How were the documents exfiltrated? What additional steps did the attacker take to maintain access? Okay, cool. So if we go back to the mem dot, or the timeline, then we go down a little bit. Stop. Okay. So, you ever see this? This is bad too, okay? So, we have the WinRAR profile getting touched on the machine. We have attacker activity on the machine during that time.
What?
We have r.exe prefetch file getting created.
FTP.
Probably someone was going to steal some data.
Right there.
Right. We keep going down. We have a prefetch file for FTP. So chances are they got something and they moved it off. So if you go back to the mem.str file, yeah. So we want to look and see what happened with ftp.exe because that's very concerning. So cat mem.str. And I grab ftp.exe.
More.
Enter. See it?
You want to grab my eye maybe?
Yeah.
Queued FTP
In there.
We have a prefetch file. What about just FTP? That's going to go on
Yes.
forever. Just,
Yeah.
That was a mistake.
Actually, can you scroll up a little bit?
Yeah.
Do that. Or you can do, hit the up arrow, type it some more. Okay. Going down.
stuff there. I need more.
Try doing. You hit the space bar.
I have mine as cat E and throwing the slash D in front of the so FTP space slash D, because it most likely would come up with a FTP IP address or
FTP space research.
It's not an IP address.
You get an IP address.
Yeah, 66.
You got an IP address?
119.
Yeah.
38.
Okay.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yep.
So
Slash FTP space.
quit that. Actually, you just went past it.
Oh,
But
damn it.
that's fine.
Right.
So go ahead and grab that IP address.
66, 32, 119, 38.
And I hit the up arrow. and then arrow over, down, keep going, past the dash. Okay, one more. And the IP address, which is
66.32.119.38.
Or you could just do projects and look for an octet.
That's what I was thinking.
Yeah.
So that is our attacker.
The exfiltration point is the same as the infiltration point.
So actually, we just have.
It just might be another
Yeah.
compromise.
This is bad only because we know that that was a downhill location. We have an open, probably not something I would do for the command line. But let's go ahead and look at it. So remember how I said you can, if you have your byte offset, you can see what's around in memory. So if you type DD IF equals memdump.img, or in file, that's where we're going to use, then space BS for block size equals 1, and then space skip. So we want to skip to 361, skip equals
361.
990, give it 300, because we want to go a little bit.
Like that?
361 99
Oh,
03
0.
03 00.
There's a little bit
Then
of
space,
information there.
then pipe XXD, then space, pipe more, and hit enter. Actually, hit Q. I'm going to show you something here. So hit the up arrow, and then change the 3 to 0. XXD. Oh, the last 3.
I've never heard. What's access?
Go back one more and hit backspace. There you go.
I think he gets it.
0, 0.
0. No, back one.
Back 1.
I think you have too many zeros there.
Oh.
No? Okay. Hit enter. There we go. File 0. Do we know what that is? That is basically an MFT entry that's loaded into memory. A lot of times, so with the MFT, you can store data from the actual file. So it's a pointer to a location on the file system where that file exists, and you can actually have data from that file inside that MFT entry. And that's what we have here. We actually have the entire FTP script located in the MFT entry that's loaded into memory.
What's interesting about the MFT and file sizes, I believe it's like, if it's under 900 bytes or something, whatever a record in the MFT is, minus its little header part, the file is just sitting in the MFT. Just like to see there.
So we can see he went there, he logged in as Jack with the password of 2 awesome. He changed his local directory to the system directory, right? Then he changed to binary, but he uploaded a text file. Kind of backwards if you ask me.
Yeah, but
they disconnected.
But the text may be just something to mislead you too. It could have been a RAR file with an extension of that, right?
Right.
Yeah. So, cool. We know that they uploaded something, right? Let's go back to our PCAP file and see what we have. So, scroll down. Actually, you need to clear that string.
The clear button.
Oh, yeah.
Keep going.
Windows Optic.
If you wanted, couldn't you just filter for FTP?
Yeah. So what is it? TCP.port equals
Just type in
41?
FTP.
Oh, yeah. Oh. Here's the
Cool.
password.
So do FTP-data.
Yeah. You actually grab the data part of it.
Jack. Okay. Now do analyze and follow TCP stream.
RAR file.
Cool. So we want to know what's in there, right?
Yep.
So we need to carve that.
You got to save as right there.
We can do it that way. I usually do TCP flow and then carve it from there, but
Oh, the save as is that session right there, right? That stream.
go ahead.
So you're saving it right now. Give
Okay.
the file name. Something.rar or whatever you want to.
RAR dot RAR. Yeah.
Cool. So now open up our terminal again. And hit Q. Actually switch to a different tab.
Here, I'll just check it out.
What's another tab between that?
And hit TWD. And CV space challenge.
Someone who wasn't in
tab.
H-A.
tab.
Tab.
What you put up your asshole?
There we go. LS.
Put this tab.
So file.
Yeah.
RAR. Enter. So let's try to unrar it. Unrar. Space E.
Extract.
Oh, rar.rar.
What do you click on to get out TCP files? If you right click on it.
Enter.
Yeah, I'm saying, but which one?
Damn. Do we know the password?
Yeah, not too often.
No.
Oh.
That was the password for. Go ahead, try it. To an AWEF0ME.
EWES0M.
Ah, man. That was the password for FTP. Cool. So.
But no, trying to find the RAR within memory?
We can find the RAR within memory.
The creation.
Unfortunately, we can't extract the RAR within memory because there's only...
No, but I'm saying the creation of the RAR.
Yeah, yeah. So
And then-
how would we search for that?
Search for the RAR.txt.
We could do that. A little trick that I do is the flags to create an encrypted RAR file is rar.exe space A space dash HP. So if you can't,
Wait, what?
You know how many times we get blamed for that?
but remember, rar.exe wasn't the actual name of the executable.
Yeah.
So we can just grab A space dash HP, put it in quotes, and it's dash HP,
Oh, dash HP, gotcha.
space dash.
What a quote.
Around the 8?
Right. Yeah, that's fine, and then, nope, around P.
Oh.
So within quotes, A space dash A.
So we're grepping for the, actually it's the grep mem.str, or cat m mem.str, and then pipe grep.
Is that?
Yeah.
Okay.
Where do you go?
There
Oh, the touch file.
So remember text file. So if you just leave it there, and you go back to the timeline, we have one directory that created. Go down a little bit. Stop. Now.
Did I go too far down?
Yeah, you did. Go up just a little bit.
Oh, it's not going to show up.
When that text isn't in there. Oh well, cool. Go back to the mem.s. Okay. So we now have our what's our password? QWERTY. Cool. So let's try it out and R it.
Your password was?
QWERTY.
Oh, wow, look at that.
So let's go back to the questions.
What's the tiger?
Unpackage
What's that?
really dirty form. Make friends again.
Yeah.
So that goes on. What documents were exfiltrated? So there are all the ones that are out of there.
Yeah, because there's Adobe Acrobat being called a couple of times.
What is the secret code of the exfiltrated documents? So if you go back to, and just type strings, space, I think do that HP, uppercase D, tab, enter. It's either the more. Yeah. You're going down.
Who's opening stuff in Uber House?
Strings-EL. Actually, it doesn't run like that. Actually, we'll do an easy way. Open up
It's like 1.2 something. Classy. 1.6 gig.
no. So the secret code is the MD5 hash of this file here. So if you want to go back to the questions. What additional steps did the attacker take to maintain access? Remember that registry key?
Oh, yeah.
So it's going to make it persistent. If you go back to the PCAP, and clear out that, and go all the way to the bottom of So we have 172.16.150.20. We have 172.16.150.10 talking to the same C2. So if you highlight that and do follow TCP stream,
This one or the
150.10, yeah, sorry.
All right.
Go down.
Oh, this one?
150.
Yeah, this one.
Same type of traffic. So same backdoor. Okay. So you got poison ivy on it. How do you do that? So remember our net use commands? So go back to the memory image. And let's open up the another tab there. Okay, so net is always net space something, right? So if we cat mem.str, yeah, get rid of that. Cat. Type.
That's a lot.
Grep. And then in quotes, net, space, space, quote, or actually just net space quote. Sorry. Enter.
Okay.
Work too?
Oh yeah, that's why you compromise them.
What's that?
We just got us the Warcraft 2 thing.
Let them just all comes together.
So,
Oh wow.
that. That's close. So you hit the up arrow or however. Right. Actually, we'll do it a different way. This can get a little tedious. Oh, yeah. So we know we did net view probably and a net use. So do inside that quote do net space use. And then no.
See there?
Yeah. So cp.exe, net use, x, DCO1 acquisitions. So they map that drive, and they probably use psexec, burn them up, they copy them, they FTP them off. Then the other net use command we have is the response, which is my activity. Yes. So go ahead and go back to the question. How long did the attacker have access to the network? If you go back to the timeline, and I like to say that, so we already knew the time of compromise. What time did it end? And I say typically that it ends when I identify response activities on the machine, because I know it's probably been contained at that point. So if we're looking for response activities, right there, that prefetch file for mdd.exe was the creation of the memory image on the compromised machine, which indicates response activities. So it had been contained at that point. I think that's it.
It's memory DD.
Sorry?
Oh, he was just wondering what MDD was, and like it's memory DD, just like DD for memory.
Yeah, it's just a memory imaging code. Lots of, but I don't even know if MDD is even updated anymore.
Yeah,
It's an old tool, but I've never had any issues with it, and it works.
It just won't run on 64-bit.
Yeah, there's a FG Pro. Cool. Questions?
want to run it twice. First time run it, just go ahead and grab memory. The second time, you can actually force it to try to load stuff from the page file or programs that are still in memory back into memory. So in case something is swapped out that may be evidence or something that you're looking at, try to get it back in memory.
Yeah, absolutely. I found things in page file that I wouldn't have found otherwise. So,
How do you create a timeline file?
it's a sleuthkit tool. So it's FLS is the utility to go through and collect all the file metadata, and it puts it in basically an unparsed format. And then you can use MagTime, which is another TSK tool that'll go through and parse the data and give you output like this.
If you have the image, just log the timeline, SIP, or if you use the SIP workstation, that's great. That's cool because it goes out and grabs a lot of things. You can do it with log the timeline. You can go grab, event files, history files for browsers of various types, the registry, and your event file, and your file system. So you get one big, huge, I hate to say it, like 3 gig file text that has all the timelines with them all kind of in there. It's a nice tool. But yeah, I use, like I said, the FLS and MacRobber.
The very first step with it was actually grabbing swing mechanics. Why would you grab that?
Why?
Yeah. The very first step.
If you go back to the text capture,
Now, a lot of the times, companies are doing packet captures of everything all the time.
Oh, yeah.
right?
Yeah.
So you have an indication.
Right. Normally they're saying we saw something on this port line.
Yeah. So I have some type of indication, right? I want to look through the data that I have. That's probably going to give me, I guess, what I'm looking for. So packet capture, a great place to look if you get an IDS hit or an IPS hit or whatever. So that's what we had available. That's the first thing that I went for. Had we not had that available, I would have a time frame. My time frame would have been much bigger. I probably would have went to the timeline, or I would have went to the memory to look for network connections. It could be a long, tedious process doing it that way.
A lot of the time, the stuff that we're doing, you find out after the fact. Finally, an AV signature's found it and alerted, and now it's, okay, there's that file. Now it starts looking back, look on the system, and it goes back weeks.
What did that AV hit on?
Yeah.
Right?
Just some starting point.
Yeah, absolutely. So, long to use process. I've spent multiple days on one timeline before going through it. So, anything else? Yeah.
You brought up tribal knowledge a couple of times. Is there a kind of a collection of that stuff anywhere, or is it just school archives?
There's some,
Pretty much,
some out there, but a lot of it is, I do incident response and forensics. I like him, and sometimes I'm doing malware engineering. I'm learning stuff from him. He's doing it differently than how I do it.
Yeah.
So definitely a lot of tribal knowledge.
What about methodologies? Are there any forensic methodologies out there?
Like, or is that what
It's pretty creative.
I don't think it's...
Yeah, again, you need to, I guess, initially focus on what you know, so you can find that little piece of information, because if you're going to start hunting and pecking the data and not knowing what you're looking for, you're never going to find anything. So start with what you know, and then move back to where you can tell that the machine was compromised, so you got your dwell time there, right? And then from that point, start moving forward to look for additional signs. And again, that's just a small subset of what you should, really. There's a whole bunch of more data that you would normally have to go through to find additional signs of lateral movement. Like the net commands, if we went on the domain controller, I bet you I could map 540 type 3 logons that would match that same type